What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a late night edition of the Everything NYJ podcast. We got Liam Johnson, we got Italy Jet himself, Gino Antonio Pagano, we got Errol Marks in the house. What is going on, everybody? How we all doing?
Man, I'm tired. But I'm happy about the game today. We won. I'm happy. I know it's just preseason, but still, anything's good right now.
As a Jet fan, you should be happy. They're 3-0 in the preseason, but we've
Right.
seen this before when it comes to
Amen.
preseason games. The Jets win, throughout the preseason. They go into the season, they lay up a lousy goose egg. So I'm only hoping that this year is better than most years, but it didn't start off very, very well in preseason Philadelphia it was in New York, but when Zach Wilson went down. So I can only hope moving forward that the New York Jets are going to stay healthy this year. And Robert Saleh has been really trying to protect the players and trying to take care of the injuries a little bit more than last year.
Absolutely. I agree. 100%. But little fun fact, the Jets have not lost a preseason game since 2019. We had that one tie last year, but we just got to hope that we can continue that momentum into the season.
Oh, and not only that, it's just, I just want to see what the roster looks like on Tuesday. I want to
Yeah.
see what, because I'm going to the home opener, Mr. Marks. So it's my first Jets home game ever, ever at MetLife. So
Yeah.
I want to see what Tuesday brings. I want to see what the home opener brings, and then I think everyone will have a good idea.
It's funny because I actually last year worked the press. I was at a bunch of Jet games last year and working downstairs and interviewing some of the players with, different personalities and getting to meet different writers and different analysts. It's definitely interesting. The personalities, especially the Jet fans, getting to know some of the Jet fans out there in the first rows, the second rows, and people that are very unique by themselves. And you'll have the opportunity to really get to know the people before the game, because out there in the parking lot, everybody likes to have a little bit of fun, and everybody's very, very close, and everybody likes to interact with one another. So you're going to have a lot of fun, especially being there for the first time at MetLife.
I agree. It's like it's like one big family out there. I'm so excited. I get to pop Gino's MetLife cherry.
Uh, let's try to keep those cherries a little red. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
If it turns green, it might, fall off your body or something.
It would be a
Yeah.
Jets cherry then. It would be a Jets cherry.
You don't want it to be gangrene, that's for sure.
No, you certainly don't.
Oh my
Man.
goodness!
All right,
Oh my
so
gosh!
as you can see, this is how the show is starting off, very chaotic, though, just the way we like it.
Yeah,
We're gonna
exactly.
talk about a couple of different things. Obviously, we're gonna get into the Jets Giants recap. We're gonna recap the game a little bit. We're gonna talk about cuts. We have they got to get down to 53 men by Tuesday. But before we get into all that, I just wanted to mention everybody that you could follow us on all social media platforms at Everything NYJ. We have polls up on Twitter. We're always posting on Instagram, Facebook. Gino runs it. A lot of good stuff over there. Mr. Marks, where can we find you on social media?
Oh, we're all over the place. If you haven't checked us out, the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. If you're Long Island, if you're out
Long
here,
Island.
yes, with that, which everybody thinks that we have deep accents, either in Brooklyn, New York, Queens, or here in Long Island. We all have the same accents, but whatever. You could check us
We
out
don't
there.
have accents.
On Saturdays, we have a show on 103.9 FM at 7 p.m. Called The Weekend Crunch. We interview some of the top analysts, the top athletes, and we have a lot of fun. Me and Speedy Petey, we like to have fun, and we talk a lot of Jets, we talk a lot of Giants, a lot of New York sports, and whatever there's a big story of sports, we like to mention it and really get into it deep. And we're very unique and very different. So you can check us out on 103.9 every Saturday at 7 p.m. After the Islander games, when the hockey season, it's usually 10:30. We are the only live sports radio show that airs out here in Long Island. So our show is doing very, very well. We have fans all over the country that actually tunes in on iHeartRadio to listen to us. And our show is also, we have a digital radio show called the Sports Loudmouths. We're alive every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 p.m. We're actually switching it in September. Wednesday, we will begin at 7 to 10 for some of the young kids, because a lot of the young kids like to, get to know us and love our show. So we don't want to go too late when they're going back to high school and stuff like that. So our Wednesday show will be 7 to 10, and our Thursday show will be 9 to 12 a.m. But we have some of the great athletes that come, Hall of Famers. We get some of the best, really the best guests in the country. If you talk about WFN, ESPN, any of those networks, we get better guests than they do. So, and we interview them, and we're very different. Our interviews are very unique and very different. So, and a lot of these, a lot of the analysts, all the different people, all the different guests that we have on the show, they love coming on our show because we're so unique. So definitely tune in. We have shows throughout the country. Our network is the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We have an app. If you have iOS, you have Apple, you check us out, search WWSRN. If you have Android, you go to the Play Store and you look up Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And like I said, we made it very easy. We have one of the first digital apps in the country, and we have over 25,000 downloads. So definitely check it out. It's very easy. We have some good writers and just personality. If you're a Jet fan, you'll love us. And we talk a lot of Jets, especially me. My co-host, he's a Giant fan, so different personality. But we get a lot of Giant fans, a lot of Patriot fans that tune into our show, and we go at it, and we let the fans get involved with our show. It's not like all the other radio shows. You can call our show, you can interact with us. So we have a lot of fun. So yeah, check us out on, like I said, the Weekend Crunch on 103.9. And you could check out all our shows on our network by going to our app, and check out my show called The Sports Loudmouths every Tuesdays and Thursdays. And when September comes, Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Woo! That's a lot of information.
Yeah,
you memorize, or you reading a script, or what's going on there?
I've been doing it for a long time, boys.
Right? Oh yeah,
you're big time, man.
Hey, I mean, you know what? Why don't we just end the show right here? That was great. That was great.
I don't want to scare your fans away.
No,
you might.
Hey, I'm not worried about that, honestly. But I mean, me and you, we connected on Facebook, and I was like, I gotta have this guy. I gotta get this guy. I love your energy. I love your show. A big fan, and also, just my first question for you. You talk about your radio shows, what you have on. Talk about the experience you have with like legends all over the world and just all over the world. How did you become a Jets fan? Not Rams.
Rams.
Jets fan. How did you become a Jets fan?
Well, to make it short and quick, because this is a show and I want to make sure that the fans are not going to run away. When I was 5 or 6 years old, I think I was almost 6. My first jersey was a number 14 jersey. It was a green and white jersey. It wasn't a Jets jersey. It was an Eagles jersey, and it was green and white. Okay. And I loved the colors. It was something that I really enjoyed looking at. And so I wore it, and everybody says, that's an Eagles jersey. So I said, do we have any New York teams that are green and white? And just so happens it was the Jets. So that's how I became a Jet fan. Number 14, which was, if anybody remembers, it's another quarterback that played for the Jets recently, if you guys remember. No, you don't.
Well, it's not.
It's Sam Darnold?
I'm sorry? What'd you say?
No, it's not Sam Darnold. It's Mark Sanchez, right? Is it Mark Sanchez?
No. Mark Sanchez is 6.
No, but he played for the Eagles, though.
I'm just kidding. There was no 14.
Oh, okay.
I'd be thrown for a loop. I'm like,
well, because
I had you guys thinking.
For the Eagles.
Yes, he did. But I wanted to see if you guys would figure that out. But there is no Jet quarterback that wore the number 14 that I can remember.
Right.
So
in history we've had a couple. We had Fitzpatrick, we had Sam Darnold.
Yes.
But
Sam
Darnold, the years didn't add up.
Yeah, well,
that's why I was like.
Well, to me, it was an Eagles jersey, and I fell in love with the colors. And I grew up, after the Jets. I was a Donovan McNabb fan, so I followed him in Syracuse. And when he played for obviously the Eagles, my second favorite team were the Eagles. And when the Jets didn't make the playoffs, I rooted the Eagles on. But and
Okay.
so that's a true story. I know Donovan. I met him in Miami when I was at the Super Bowl and I was working at the Super Bowl. And me and Donovan really became very close and very good friends. But I know
Nice.
everything. Yeah, I know everything about Donovan McNabb. But to make a long story short, like I said, I had an Eagles jersey. I love the colors, so I became a Jet fan.
Which player did you have? Do you remember whose jersey it was?
Number 14. I don't remember. There was no number. There was no name on the back of it. It was just
Okay.
Gotcha.
it was just a plain jersey, number 14. But it was the Eagles jersey. It had the eagle, symbol on the side of the
Right.
side of the cuff. So,
There you go.
yeah. So I became a Jet fan because of the colors. I love green and
I
white.
guess it all worked out for you.
Yeah.
Boy, did it ever. I mean, losing, but I don't care. As long as my team is building and really figuring it out, and I think Joe Douglas is the man for the job.
Right.
Hopefully, Zach Wilson shows everybody this year that he is the quarterback of the future, or Joe Douglas could be looking for another job at the end of the season. So,
Is that what you think this is this season rides on Joe Douglas's career
we
as a
will.
Jet? Or...
I'll definitely get into that if you want me to later in the
Yeah,
show.
go ahead.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead right now. Go
Uh,
ahead right now. Go for it.
I feel like when you talk about GMs and you talk about coaches, it all relies on the guy that you draft as far as behind the the trenches, and that's the quarterback. And the quarterback is the most important, target when it comes to your team. You want to build on a quarterback. You look at all the successful teams over the years. You have to have a star quarterback. Now, I'm going to say this: if Zach Wilson's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, you can win with that. And I think that to me is a successful quarterback. The Jets haven't had a top 10 quarterback really since Vinny Testaverde. And Chad Pennington was great. If his shoulder didn't go on him, I believe Chad Pennington would have been a top 10 quarterback, one of the more accurate quarterbacks of all time. He was successful with Miami. He was okay with the Jets in certain years, but he couldn't stay healthy. And that was the big problem
2002.
for Chad Pennington. But Vinny Testaverde was the last top 10 quarterback the Jets have had. Let's be honest. And the Jets haven't really found the right guy to really fit in that position. And eventually it just was falling apart. You went from Mark Sanchez, and even if you look in the the 90s, I mean, they brought in Neil O'Donnell. He didn't survive. He went all the way to the Super Bowl against the Cowboys and lost against the Cowboys. I mean, if you go up and down the quarterback scheme that the Jets have really built, Brown and Nagel, I mean, O'Brien, all these different quarterbacks they've had over the year, it just never worked. And then now you look at the quarterbacks now, the Jets are the first team in NFL history in a 3-year span to draft two quarterbacks in the top three, in Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold. And it so far hasn't worked, but Zach Wilson didn't have any wide receivers last year. Corey Davis got hurt early. Elijah Moore got hurt early. They really didn't have anybody to throw to. So everybody keeps blaming Zach Wilson on that. And he forced the ball in certain areas last year, but I believe Robert Saleh and more Joe Douglas is going to rely on Zach Wilson keeping his job. I think right now where the Jets are, I think they had it right in the draft. They had a very good draft. And if you look at the last couple of drafts, Mekhi Beckham, I thought he was going to be a great play. Can't stay healthy. Bryce Hall has not looked good in the preseason, even though he had a really good first half last year. So there's a lot of things that really stood out. And a lot of the guys, Ashton Davis really hasn't succeeded. Pirine, he's probably going to be dropped before the preseason's over. There's so many guys. Zuniga, he hasn't really been a guy. So this has really been the draft class. And last year you had Elijah Moore. He's been successful. I mean, Elijah Vera Tucker was the best guard in the second, one of the top guards in the second half last year. So I think the last two drafts could really stand out. But if Zach Wilson doesn't succeed going into this year, and they have to look for another quarterback in a very top-heavy quarterback class next year, I think Joe Douglas will be looking for a new job, even if Elijah Moore pans out and Garrett Wilson pans out and Jermaine Johnson, pans out. Breece Hall wins the Rookie Offensive Player of the Year. It doesn't matter. If Zach Wilson isn't the guy, well, it's a failure, and that's why Joe Douglas will be looking for a job at the end of the season.
I mean, you brought up some very good points, and I agree with half of that. But my thing is, because of what Joe Douglas has done the last 3 years, it's like we all want to forget what Gase has done, right? We want to get that year. Do you think after this year, if Zach Wilson doesn't pan out, like overall, do you think he deserves another shot of getting another quarterback next year in the draft or a free agent?
Well, to even piggyback off of that a little bit, I mean, I think it's way too early to tell what Zach Wilson's going to be. I mean, I don't want to use Josh Allen as the measuring stick, but Josh Allen's second year was nowhere even close to what his third year was, to be, completely honest with you.
Right.
This is a young team. We might even just, Zach Wilson's hurt. He's not getting those reps in right now. We might need another full year of this team together to see, add a couple pieces, maybe add another tight end if we have to. I don't think we have to, but you never know. They might want to. We might just need another year to see what these guys all can be. 17 healthy games or a full season of these guys all together. You have Garrett Wilson in his rookie year. You have Elijah Moore that's looking to have a full season. You have Corey Davis that's looking to have a full season. The one, I guess, positive of these guys getting hurt last year is they kind of made Braxton Berrios a star. Braxton Berrios was able to sign. He's going to be a starter or at least a second string guy. Denzel Mims, forget him. He's a wash. But I don't think this year Zach Wilson's on the hot seat at all, to be completely honest with you.
Well, you guys mentioned Adam Gase, and the only thing Adam Gase gave the New York Jets was Joe Douglas. That was about it. So if Joe Douglas succeeds and the Jets win a Super Bowl, you can thank Adam Gase because he was the one that really pushed Joe Douglas to get the job. I think Joe Douglas is a very good executive. The guy knows how to draft. He has been very bad at bringing in free agents. Go look at his free agent classes that he's brought in since he started here about 2.5 years ago. It just hasn't worked. He tried to bring in Pro Bowl players and all that. Laken Tomlinson, I think, is a good fit. Let's see if he stays healthy this year. That's a very important piece. I mean, they've added some pieces. Dwayne Brown is a good piece. He's a guy that's been in the Pro Bowl 5 years, but he's 37 years old. These are all important things. You need to protect the quarterback with a veteran offensive line with some different pieces that I think will work. Again, going back into that, Zach Wilson is on the hot seat because next year's draft class has an extensive amount of quarterbacks. And in the first round, you're talking about people are saying that 4 of the first 10 picks are going to be quarterbacks. That's how good this quarterback class is. So if the Jets are a top 10 pick, it's hard to believe that you're going to sit here and say, well, we're going to give Zach Wilson another chance. When I look at Zach Wilson right now, he needs to show up. The Jets gave him pieces. They gave him another running back. Breece Hall is a star running back. A lot of people think he's going to be a breakout running back this year. He's going to win the job over Michael Carter, who I love, by the way. I think he's a great leader. If you watch Jets One Drive, everybody loves him. He's funny. He's outgoing. He's the face of the offense. As far as where Zach Wilson is, he has weapons. There's no excuses anymore. They brought in Conklin. He is a good tight end. They brought in Asuma from the Cincinnati Bengals, who Uzma, whatever I call him, Asuma, but
Uzama,
whatever. Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, ZJ Osama. He comes from the Bengals. He went to a Super Bowl last year. Actually played hurt throughout the playoffs. I like the guy. But he lost the job to Conklin. Conklin's going to be the starting tight end this year. And then they drafted Jeremy Rucker. I don't think they need any more tight ends. I think, Liam, you're right. They could be looking at tight ends next year if these 2 guys or these 3 guys don't work out. But I think they're compacted with very good tight ends. And wide receivers, I think they have a lot of depth. Denzel Mims is going to get traded. He had a good game today. But here's the thing. This good game could open up opportunity for Joe Douglas to get a higher draft pick. People were saying the Jets weren't only going to get a 5 or a 4. I think he's worth a 3. Last year, if they traded him at the end of the season, they probably would have gotten a 2. So I think these are things that you have to look at. Braxton Berrios, he's not a star, but I think he's a starter. He's a slot end guy. They're going to use him in a slot. Zach Wilson likes him. He's a blanket for him. And as far as Corey Davis,
last year.
Punt returning, absolutely. I think he's a fast guy, and he showed me that he has wheels, and he took the money, even though a lot of people were crying that he was asking for too much, but he took a little bit less to stay with the Jets, and that's what I like about him. But again, the wide receiving core, Garrett Wilson, I expect him to have a great season as a rookie. I think he's a high-flying guy. He's fun to watch. He's got great hands. He can jump. He can do everything. He just needs to run the routes and do the things that we really didn't see this preseason when he was out there. But there were some glimpses of stardom, and that's the problem with the Jets. They bring in these guys, and there's glimpses, but they really never develop, and that has a lot to do with Zach Wilson. He needs to develop. He needs to get these guys, stop forcing balls, start throwing. And by the way, these short passes that he had a problem with last year, he did it again in the preseason game, which he threw an interception against a linebacker in Philadelphia. He needs to work on throwing these short passes because they are so important in the NFL. Tom Brady has succeeded that way. Aaron Rodgers has succeeded that way. All these quarterbacks, all the great ones, even Drew Brees, who has a great arm, he was great at throwing those short passes. Peyton Manning was very good at throwing those short passes. Ben Roethlisberger was very good at throwing those short passes, and even Phillip Rivers. So I've just named you about 6 or 7 quarterbacks, and they all succeeded in the NFL, and they're all Hall of Famers. I'm not saying Zach Wilson's a Hall of Famer. What I'm saying is if Zach Wilson wants to be at least a top 10 quarterback, and if we say an elite quarterback, he needs to figure out how to throw those short passes. So yes, I believe Zach Wilson needs to show something this year, or he will lose his job, and this will be another quarterback class. The Jets are going to be looking for one.
Okay. That's fair.
Fair point. Fair point.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, not only that, it's like when you look at today, when Flacco, right? You know, he did well, but he had an interception on a short pass. Strevler, he won the game for us because of his wheels and that lofty throw. But when it comes to Mike White, it's like, okay, he did good, but he fed it to Mims because of the short pocket. So it's like, what were you saying?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, man. But
the thing with
I just don't know. Yeah.
The thing with Mike White, in my opinion, is the name. Like it makes us feel like warm and fuzzy inside. Like we love Mike White. Oh, he beat the Bengals. Like I was at the game. It was a great game. I had a ball. It's probably my favorite Jet game to be at. But he really hasn't done anything since it. I was talking to my father about this today because he thinks Mike White should win the starting job over Strevler. I think Mike. I'm gonna go on record and say I think he's overrated. I don't think he's very consistent. He had that one good game, and then he played against the Colts. He got injured, but he didn't. He looked all right with the Colts. He hasn't really done anything since then, though. I mean, he struggled in preseason. Against the Atlanta Falcons, he struggled there. He didn't look that great today. I know he had the touchdown to Mims, but it's just I think Strevler just seems to be like a more developed quarterback. And one of the big critiques on Strevler, a lot of people are saying that LaFleur's gonna have to switch up his playbook and like his play calling to fit Strevler's strengths. I don't believe that to be the case, though. Strevler seems to be running this offense with no problem, and he's doing it with second and third string guys. We haven't even got to see Strevler with the starters yet.
Right.
It's interesting because a lot of people have been talking about Strevler. You watch it all over social media. Everybody is like really, into Strevler. And some people are saying start him over Zach Wilson, which I think is ridiculous. No. Watching a preseason game, you cannot obviously watch a preseason game and watch third or fourth string guys and say because what Strevler did in the fourth quarter, really back-to-back games, that he can start in the NFL with the first string guys. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he deserves the third spot, not White. I even though White had a good game this week against the Giants.
Right.
White has showed me glimpses of on and off quarterback play. I cannot pick him over a young kid that's played better than him. And I think now with Joe Flacco, we don't know what Joe Flacco and how healthy Joe Flacco is going to be all season. So if Joe Flacco gets hurt and Zach Wilson gets hurt, who's going to be that other guy? And it has to be somebody that you can trust and that can run this offense. I think Strevler proved that he can run this offense. I think the team believes in him. You saw him today. You listened to Robert Saleh at the even at the press conference, how much he loves this kid. And really the team, when he was in the locker room and the cheers, the Strevler cheers, they love him. And the fans love him. So you can't tell me that, in the next couple of days, 24 to 48 hours, when they decide who's going to fit the roster, that Strevler doesn't make this team. He's proven that he deserves a spot on this team. So I think it's been very exciting to watch some of these young players play. I heard a lot of great things about Breece Hall. Jermaine Johnson they're slowing. They're moving him in slowly into the lineup. He's not going to be starting in week 1. He'll be filling in certain spots, maybe on third downs. So the Jets are slowly moving in some of these guys that they believe are the future of this organization.
Well, do you think? Okay, that's great. I believe in JJ. I think that's what they should do. Do you think Clemens wins over JJ and even Jacob Martin? Do you think Jacob? We haven't seen Jacob Martin much.
Mhm.
Like we haven't seen him much this whole preseason. Do you think Clemens just triumphs all that?
I do.
I would agree with Liam. I think Clemens has proven himself even in the preseason games, but not even that. It practices. Everything that I've read, and even some of the guys that we've had on our show, some of the writers and some of the Jet guys that follow the team, a lot of them have said that Clemens not only is beastly, they believe he's one of the future pieces to this team and this defense. I do believe that sometimes you find that needle in the haystack, and maybe the Jets found 2 or 3 of them in this year's draft. I like Mitchell too. I think he's a really good offensive lineman. It's going to take him a little while to figure things out. It might take him 2 or 3 years maybe to become a starter, but I've heard a lot of good things about him too. So I think when you sit here today and you look at Clemens and the talented player that he is, I think the Jets need meanness. That's something that they have lacked really since Rex Ryan. And I think that this type of piece and this type of player is going to give him that attitude that the Jets need on their defense. So yes, Clemens is going to make the team. He's going to play a lot in certain games. It depends on the team. It depends on what schemes those teams are going to use. And Clemens will fill in. I do not like the defensive coordinator of the Jets, and Ulick. I think I followed him over the last couple of years, not even with the Jets, but where he's been. He's not been a good defensive mind. He hasn't been a good defensive coordinator. I think it's a huge problem that the Jets are going to have. And if the season starts off slow and this defense doesn't work, Robert Saleh has to take over and fire him, because you cannot go into another season with your strength and what your head coach is all about, defense. I know he was a tight end in college. That's great. But he's a defensive coordinator, and that's what he's known for San Francisco. He came from Seattle. He went all over the place. He is a defensive-minded coach. And if Ulick is not running his defense right, he needs to fire him. He needs to take over and get this team playing the way he wants them to play.
Well, not only that, we brought in Quan Alexander to help, even boost the defense even more. And now I'm hearing that we might be trading for a safety now. I think the Dutch square is definitely on the hot seat for sure.
Holbrook, Ulbrich definitely is on the hot seat. There's no way that. I mean, the defense, this is probably the best that they've looked probably since Ulbrich has taken over, since Ulbrich has been defensive coordinator. They played really good today, and like you said, Mr. Marks, they're playing very physical, and like you said, that meanness. And Clemens brings that. Ever since Clemens' first press conference, you can ask Gino. I've loved him. He's one of my favorite players. I'm considering getting his jersey. The whole thing is, I agree with you. Salah's bringing in his guys now, and there's no way that they're letting Salah go before they're letting Jeff Ulbrich go. It's not happening.
I'm so bad with names, as you said.
Dude, I am too. I am too.
And everybody says, "Well, how could you pronounce it?" Ulbrich. I'm sorry, but I followed him really his whole career. When I found out the Jets were going to give him the defensive coordinator job, I was iffy on it. I didn't like his schemes. Now I understand Robert Saleh knows him, and they know each other, and Robert Saleh feels that he can run his defense just as well as he can. I don't believe that. I think in the long run, the Jets need to figure this out. You have Sauce. Nobody threw on Sauce's side really all preseason. They're afraid to throw against him. And that's a great thing, because this is what happened with Revis Island. And then you had Cromartie on the other side. Now you have DJ Reed. We haven't seen a lot of DJ Reed this preseason. I expect DJ Reed to be a big piece to this defense. If the Jets could shut them down in the secondary, and the weakness last year was their running. And it's crazy to say that with Quentin Williams, but they didn't have a pass rush. Now with Carl Lawson and some of the additions, Vinny Curry plays this year, and they have some kind of pass rush. I think they're going to be able to stop the run. Quentin Williams is a beast. We were depending on Quentin Williams more last year to get to the quarterback because we had no pass rushers. And then we used different people, in different spots that didn't. Rankins was not playing out of position last year. That wasn't his strength. When they brought him in from New Orleans, they expected him to be a different type, to be a run-stopping nose tackle, a defensive tackle. He was not that last year, and he played really badly last year because they were using him in the wrong spot. And even Mosley, he led the team in tackles, but Mosley was playing out of spot last year. These guys need to play in their spot where they can succeed and move forward as a team and as a top defense. I believe this team has enough talent this year to be a top 10 defense. They just got to play up to par, and especially against the good teams. And you're playing in their first 5 games, you're playing 5 really good teams, even with Cleveland and some of these backup quarterbacks that are taking over, a.k.a. Deshaun Watson suspension. I still think that they're good teams. If the Jets could win 2 out of the 5, or even 3 out of the 5. So I believe that this team could win 9 games.
Okay. Now, speaking numbers, a little like statistically here, what do you think are some reasonable numbers for Quinnen Williams this year? Maybe even JFM. JFM got paid last year. Quinnen Williams, they're picking up his 5th-year option. He's looking for that big contract. Up to this point, do you feel that Quinnen Williams has earned that contract, A? And B, what do you think his sack numbers are going to be this year?
I do not believe he earned that type of money. He wants Aaron Donald money, and he needs to show up this year. If you remember Muhammad Wilkerson, he got that big contract from the Jets, $84 million, and then he completely disappeared. Quinnen Williams needs to show up this year and get 10 or more sacks, be an absolute beast of a man, and show everybody what type of player he is. The reason why Robert Saleh took over this team, the only reason why Robert Saleh took over this team, ladies and gentlemen, was because of Quinnen Williams. Everybody knows why he wanted to take over this team. He believed that he could turn Quinnen Williams in the next Aaron Donald. And you listen to Laken Tomlinson say when they were talking on Jets One Drive in the first season episode, he said when they were trying to compare him and Quinnen Williams on the court, on the field, he said that Quinnen Williams is just as good as Aaron Donald was when he saw him for the first time on the field. So I'm not saying Quinnen Williams is Aaron Donald, and nor do I think he is. But if Quinnen Williams plays at his top game and he's running on, not in the first gear, he's going to second and third. If he plays that way, I believe he's going to get 10 or 11 sacks this year. I believe he's going to be a Pro Bowl player. Heck, he could be an all-pro player if he shows his game to be what it is. He is a special player. And I love what they did with Quincy Williams, too. They brought him in. It was a very smart move by Joe Douglas. The Jaguars are an idiot organization. They let this kid go. And what did the Jets do? They brought him in to make Quinnen Williams feel comfortable being in New York. And then Quincy Williams, who nobody thought was any good, showed everybody that he is a good player and that he could be a starter on this team. Yes. So I think that the Jets are one of the youngest teams in the NFL. They need to show up. They need to show their talent in certain aspects. They've really put themselves in good position. They're in a very interesting division. Buffalo looks like they're going to dominate, but I have heard this before with the Buffalo Bills year in and year out. I love Josh Allen. I think he's a great quarterback. But not having Dable there and him going all the way over there to New York with the Giants, that's going to hurt him this year, especially when you're in the fourth quarter and you're expected to run and make a play in the open field. I understand it's the same players offensively, but when you don't have that coach and you don't trust in the other coach, the other offensive coordinator, even though he says he does, it's not Dable. And that's why Dable got that job with the New York Giants. I think the Jets have a very good chance to show people this year that they're not the same old Jets, okay? And they can win 7 or 8 games this year. They could surprise a lot of people. There are games that make sense that they can win. They could even beat Baltimore in week 1. And the reason why is Lamar Jackson's thinking about that contract. He's not going to take the contract. No guaranteed money. And who knows? Joe Flacco plays the first game. It's his former team. He's never played against his former team. He's never played against his former coach. Why not the Jets go in to MetLife Stadium against the Baltimore Ravens and shock the world and knock off the Baltimore Ravens in a low-scoring game? It could happen. It's possible. They have to show up. And I do believe it. And they have the running game. They do. Michael Carter, he's a good running back. Breece Hall, I believe he's going to be a beast for the Jets this year. It might take him a little while to figure things out and find the holes that he did in college in Iowa State. He has the ability to be a top-notch, top premier running back in the NFL.
Well, to go back to the Quinnen Williams thing for a second, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like he disappears a lot. And I think like he doesn't really make that big play when it's necessary. Like, he'll get his nice sacks every now and then, but big third down, 3rd and 1, game on the line here, like they're going maybe in like 1st and goal, like, is approaching. Quinnen Williams not the one stuffing the running back. He's not the one getting the sack. And he's really not. And the thing is that I feel with Quinnen Williams is I think it's where he was drafted. I think if he wasn't, I think he's a good defensive lineman. I think he's fine on the defensive line. He's capable of playing. He's earned his spot. But I just feel like he was drafted 3rd overall in 2019.
Yep.
I just feel like that maybe it was too high for him. And the reason I say that is like I said, he goes missing, and it's just people have these big expectations of him, but the big expectations he should be able to fill. And he's like you said, he's the reason that Robert Saleh wanted to come here. I just feel like maybe it's because he was drafted so highly that they look at him as like an Aaron Donald type player.
Liam, I will say this, and maybe you're right, but I think Quinnen Williams is a beast. I think he could turn out to be the player they thought he was going to be when they drafted him at 3rd. Here's the thing. When you don't have pass rushers and you're depending in the middle of the field for your nose tackle or your DT to get to the quarterback, and you're getting triple teamed. Go watch the film. He is getting double and triple teamed every single time at the line of scrimmage. You can't get to the quarterback. You're not going to get the sacks. Aaron Donald, what they do, they move him from one side to the other. Aaron moves. He paces himself. He even plays linebacker sometimes. You see him step back in the linebacker position. Quinnen Williams is not that type of player. He's a bigger, stronger player. And everybody says, oh, he's stronger than Aaron Donald. I didn't say he can lift. He's a bigger, stronger player. When he gets his hands down in the dirt, he's a different type of beast of a man. So he's different. He's not as athletic as Aaron Donald, but he can do a lot of the same things as Aaron Donald can. And the Jets need to use him and figure out ways that it could work, where it could open up holes for him to get to the quarterback. And if you have Carl Lawson and he's getting to the quarterback over and over and over again, what does that do? Opens up holes, and that's going to help Quinnen Williams succeed. It's not Quinnen Williams' fault for the last 2 seasons. He hasn't had a pass rush. He's come into this league.
He's a supporting cast.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald.
Supporting cast now.
Aaron Donald needs a supporting cast. You don't think he has a supporting cast over there with the Rams? Go look at every Go look at every single top tackle. And by the way, Aaron Donald's considered a DE, a defensive end, even though he really is a defensive tackle. And that's where he's posted at. You're moving and you're shifting him from one side to the other in the defensive end position. He's a defensive end, but he's put in as a defensive tackle or nose tackle, whatever the hell they say he is. So I look at the Jets. I do believe Quinnen Williams could be that guy. And he has the ability to be that guy. What Quinnen Williams needs to do in game number 1 this season is go out there and shut the critics up. Slap them in the face. Shut them up. Yes, prove it.
It's not really a shut them up. It's more of you were drafted at this position. We drafted you for this specific reason. Go out there and do it.
He could do
your job.
He could do it. I met Quinnen Williams, and he's a big man. He's very funny, very nice guy. But when he's on the field, and I've listened to a lot of different people, what they say about him on the field, he's a different person when he steps on that field. He's mean, and he lets it go, and he needs to do that. But do I think he's worth that 3rd pick when they draft? Absolutely. Not only do I think he's worth it, he could turn out to be the best player in that draft. He just needs to show up. And remember, he's still young. He's still a baby. He's 24, 25 years. He's not even 25. He'll be 25 this year. He's a kid. He just needs to go out there and show people that he can be that dominant force. And with Carl Lawson on one side and Jermaine Johnson and Vinnie Curry and all these different defensive ends, Carl Lawson is going to have to show up this year and get what he was worth when they paid him the 3-year $47 million that they gave him. I think Carl Lawson is such an important piece to where this defense could go this year, and he needs to show up and put the pressure on the quarterback so it opens up different holes for the other guys like Rankins and like Quinnen Williams. And yes, I do believe he's absolutely worth that third pick in the first round.
What would you be comfortable paying him?
Right now, he needs 10 sacks. He needs 10 sacks this year. If he gets 10 sacks and he shows everybody that he can do the things that he needs to be, that run-stopping machine that he was in his first season. If he does that and he stops, and the Jets they become that one of the top 5, top 6 run-stopping teams like he was in his rookie season, you pay him $100 million, $120 million if he gets 10 sacks. He's worth it. But he needs to show up. He needs to show people that he can do that. It is so important this year that the Jets become that run-stopping team this year. They could do it on the outside with DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner, and they have Bryce Hall, and they have Michael Carter. They have Eccles. They have good, cornerbacks. They do, and even their safeties. The safeties need to stay healthy, but they have the secondary to play in this league, especially in the AFC, with the high-flying pace that the wide receivers they're going to have to play this year. The problem is, if they can't stop the run, that secondary means absolutely nothing. And teams are going to figure that out with the Jets very, very quickly. So if he can stop the run and he can get to the quarterback and he gives you close to 10, even 9 sacks, and he shuts down the run games, yes, he's worth $100 million, because you can't find guys that can be a dual threat type of tackle like that in the NFL.
Right. And a quick shout out to Jay Pisani. I believe that's Jack Pisani. I think he's the cop in North Carolina. I talk to him all the time on Twitter. Do you agree with this comment that he says? Thank you, Jack, for participating. JD won't overpay him even if he shows up this year with 9 to 13 sacks, but the Jets are certainly better with him, no question.
Here's what I heard. Joe Douglas really, really loves Quentin Williams. He loves him. Absolutely adores him. If he gets between 9 and 13 sacks, he is absolutely going to get paid. Now, I don't know how much guaranteed money he's going to get. They could give him, let's say he offers him $115 million. Let's say, I'm going to give you $115 million. I'm only going to give you $45 million guaranteed. It's all about the guaranteed money. It doesn't matter what he offers him, because all in all, it's not all that money is not guaranteed. Ask Von Miller; he knows all about that. So, I understand what he's saying. I understand what Jack or Joe is saying, and Joe Douglas is very stingy with the money because he likes to keep the cap down. So if he needs a piece, he needs to move a player in the offseason. And this whole safety thing that they're going to trade for a safety, and I know who you're talking about, Mr. Cincinnati over there. It's not happening. It's not happening. Jet fans, stop it. Stop it.
Well, that wasn't what I was thinking, but he's in my top 3.
Okay.
But I was thinking more of the guy like the Ravens, Mr. Clark. I was thinking like Clark, because I know he requested to be traded. And honestly, I would love to get Smith from the Bears, because he ain't gonna be there this whole season.
Roquan Smith. He's going to be too costly. He's too costly for the Jets.
I think we have it, though.
What would you give up for him? What would you give up for him?
Okay. Mims, Martin, in a second or third round pick.
It's not enough.
You don't think it's enough?
Not enough.
Do you think maybe two second rounders and 2 third rounders? Or do you think we need to go like a first rounder?
Roquan Smith is
definitely include Mims. Definitely, that's how you get him out of here.
Roquan Smith is a top 4 linebacker in this league. He is.
True. He is.
He is. And to find a linebacker that could play multiple linebacker positions, you could put him inside, outside. He could do a lot of different things. And he's the guy that you've been really feasting to land. You're going to have to give up 2 first-round draft picks for him and maybe Denzel Mims to get him. And the Jets are not willing. Joe Douglas don't give away first-round draft picks. Ask him. He doesn't do that. He wasn't going to do that. He wasn't doing that for Tyreek Hill. Go look at it.
Or Debo. Not even Debo.
Or Metcalf. He wasn't doing it.
It would definitely.
Or Brown. Or A.J. Brown, too.
It would definitely. Yeah. No. Yep. It would definitely take some of the workload off of C.J. Mosley, though. I mean, C.J. Mosley, he's starting to get up there in age a little bit. He's still, a very competent linebacker, and he can still do plenty of amazing things. Mm-hmm. But he can't do everything. He can't do it all by himself. And he has Nazardine, he has Quincy Williams. They're fine and great, but they're like kind of second tier players. Let's be honest. Like they're, if we could get another prominent linebacker in that group, even with Quan Alexander. Think of, the guy from the Bears, Quan Alexander and C.J. Mosley. That's one hell of a group right there.
Well, you guys forget about Quincy Williams, who I think has had I've heard a good preseason. He's looked really, really good at practices. He's fast. He's lost a little bit of weight this offseason. I think Quincy's going to play a big part in the future of this team and this organization, especially if you're going to decide to keep Quentin Williams and pay him. So Quincy's definitely a big piece to the future of this team. I understand what you guys are saying when it comes to going for a linebacker. The Jets don't need another linebacker, guys.
Kawan Alexander.
Yes, yeah. And you also brought Clemens in, who for a guy his size, that he's not a linebacker, but he could do linebacker things. If you look at his speed and what he has done as a big man at the combine, he can definitely defend the middle of the field. If you bring back now, listen, Robert Saleh does not like to blitz. He does not like to blitz. He's one of if you look at his percentages, he plays a lot of zone football. And here's the thing. He wants fast guys, big, small. He likes fast guys. Go look at all the guys even the guys that they brought in free agency. They're all fast. Conklin, for his size, fast. Uzma, fast for a guy his size. Yes, Usama, whatever. But all of these
tomatoes.
Yeah, tomatoes. Exactly. All these guys that they bring in, it's all about speed. He believes in speed. That's what he believes in. And that's the way he is. So I believe no matter what way they play or how they play it, it doesn't matter if you're a linebacker. It doesn't matter if you're a defensive tackle, defensive end. You're going to have to play when it comes to the open field, and tight ends are so very important to guard. So I do believe with the safeties that they have and the way they hit, they're going to be able to do that. And I love the captaincy of the way they play and the way they're calling. Go watch the preseason, especially today, and watch the different play calls, especially in the first quarter, of some of the guys like C.J. Mosley and all the different guys that were playing today, on the way they were calling plays and making sure that everybody knows. It's all about hearing. You listen to what Robert Saleh says in Jets One Drive. We have to work as one. If we work as one, we'll play as one. So it's all about playing together. If they play all together and not selfish like Jets, a lot of these ex-Jet teams have been over the years. Muhammad Wilkerson, very selfish player. Say whatever you want. I loved Muhammad. He was selfish. He was all about himself and his contracts and everything like that.
Going up late all the time. Yep.
Look at Quinn Williams. Quinn Williams hasn't spoken about anything about that contract. A matter of fact, every single press guy that's brought up his contract says, listen, I'm here on this team. I'm playing right now. I'm under contract. I don't care about the contract. I'm here to play. I'm here to win. I'm here to be a face of this organization for the future. And I want to be here for the long haul. That's what you want to hear from your youngsters. You want to hear that we're together. I want to be here. I want to succeed. I want to win here. I want to be that guy that's going to break the barrier for this organization since 1969. That's what you want to hear. That's all you want to hear from your team. Not, well, I need my money. Pay me.
Jamal Adams.
Yes. Oh, forget it. Don't get me started with that ass. Okay. Don't get me started. I met Jamal Adams. He is an ass.
Oh, okay.
He is an ass. Okay. He's all about his nice shoes, his nice look, his nice chain. That's all he cared about. That's all. Listen. Go cry to your father in your room like you did, like all the stories you heard. When my son was crying in the room. Go to the Cowboys, the Cowgirls. Go wherever you want. You're now in Seattle. You're making big mucho dinero, and you're playing for a losing organization when you could have stayed here and won over here. And I never liked Jamal Adams, by the way. Never. Ask anybody else listen to my show. I think he's a selfish SOB, and he deserves everywhere he is. He is going to be a born loser. He went to LSU, and most of those guys are born losers, and that's where he's going to go, losing and canoeing back home to Dallas. Oh, wait a second. There's no water over there. Oh, he'll be dried out like Dallas.
Oh, Jesus.
I love it. Oh my God, I love it.
Oh, man.
So okay.
Go ahead, Gino.
I have to ask this question when it comes to everything that what we've been talking about the defense, because the offense we're very satisfied with, except maybe the O-line. Safety position, bringing in Jordan Whitehead. I'm a big fan of him. Mm-hmm. I know we brought back Joyner. I know Pinnock is trying to go for that as well. And looks like we might be keeping Parks. I don't really know yet because we got to figure out what we're going to do Tuesday. But for the safety position to complement Whitehead.
Mhm.
What do you think that those three guys I just mentioned, is that the perfect fit, or do you think we need to go out and pick up someone?
You know what I think they're going to do?
What about Ashton Davis too? Ashton Davis is in the mix. You know, they got rid of
Yeah,
Elijah.
He's getting
Riley.
cut. He's
They're
getting
gonna
cut.
cut
You
him.
think
Let's
so?
be
I
honest.
think
You
they're
think
gonna
Let's
so?
be
cut him.
honest. Let's be honest.
They're not going to keep him. They're going to cut him. And
I hope not. I'm not. I
He
was
was the
never a fan of him
Gase.
either.
He was
Yeah.
the it was perfect for Gase. Just like Mims. Mims and Gase, Becton, it was perfect for
I
his
love
system.
Mims. I feel so bad that it just didn't work out here. I
Yeah.
said what I felt on him thinking that he was a first string player. He's not. He doesn't watch enough film. He doesn't go out there and work his butt off like all the other guys. If he did, he'd be a first string player. It's
Right.
sad the way it is. But he'll go somewhere else, and I think if he goes to Green Bay or with one of these top quarterbacks, I think he'll succeed like we thought he was in Baylor. It's to me. When you look at the growth of some of these young players, it just didn't work out. As far as what you said with Whitehead, here's what I think. And I'll say this again. Bryce Hall did not have a good season at cornerback. Okay. Hear me out on this one. Hear me out on this one.
Okay. I'll hear you out.
DJ Reed, Bryce Hall is a big guy. He's fast. He's got good hands. He's good in zone coverage. He really is. You saw what he did in the first half of the season. He was one of the best corners in the league in the first half. He fell off because they started making him play man-to-man. He is not a man-to-man player. So what I would do, this is what I would do if I was coaching this team. Now, it's going to take a little while for him to figure out some things. Joyner can't stay healthy. The man doesn't stay healthy.
Exactly.
He's great. He can hit, but he can't stay healthy. I don't want to care. I don't care what Robert says. Fowler's a good guy, and I understand he loves Joyner, and that's why he brought him to this team. He's been there for a year and a half. The guy's barely played. He doesn't stay on the field. So here's what I do. It's very simple. DJ Reed, he's your guy. Sauce Gardner, he's your guy. You know that's where they are. You know Michael Carter and Eccles, you can fill them in those slots. So here's what I would do. I would start moving Bryce Hall to the safety position. A strong safety. He could put on a little bit of weight. He's got a big tone body. Put him as the strong safety. Make Whitehead the free safety, where he can start to, scoop over, different spots. You put him in different areas. He could see it. He's one of the guys he's the one that calls the plays in the secondary. I would put him as the free safety, Whitehead.
It'd be like a Marcus May.
Yes. And put Bryce Hall slowly but surely. Start filling him in at the safety position. Don't start him off where, he's never played safety before. Start easing him in, letting him start the practice of it. He's got the body, he's got the length, he's got the speed, and I think he could play zone coverage, and he can hit too for a guy his size. So
I have a question for that, not to cut you off, but if you think that that's what they were going to do, like, shouldn't they have started doing that in the preseason? You think? Like,
I don't think
preseason games would have been perfect for that.
I don't think they were thinking that. They really believed that Bryce Hall was going to eventually take over that slot position. Michael Carter has been playing so good, and he's been so good since they drafted him. He was an absolute steal when Joe Douglas drafted him the year before that, and I think it was in the 4th or 5th round. I think right now it's Michael Carter's to lose, and there's no way he's winning Sauce. I don't know why anybody thought he was going to beat out Sauce. And DJ Reed was going to get that position. He got the money in the offseason. There was no way he was going to move out of that position. So it makes a lot of sense that Bryce Hall was already going to lose his spot. I think in the end, I think the Jets have to really understand the position that they're in. They have so much depth over there. And I think they will. As the season progressively moves, I think because I've heard that DJ Reed could play safety. He has played safety before. So maybe they start to ease if they need Bryce Hall or the safety position. Joyner gets hurt. Maybe you move DJ Reed to that safety position and move Bryce to the outside. They could do a lot of different things, but I definitely can look at Bryce Hall as maybe a future safety for this team. I really do think that it could work and maybe fit.
Well, I think he already, like you said, I think he already had one foot out the door because when they drafted Sauce, Gino is a huge Sauce fan, and I'm not saying that I'm not, but going into this year's draft, I didn't think that he was the biggest. I didn't think cornerback was the biggest need of this team. I really thought it was going to be Thibodeau. That's personally who I thought it was going to be. Now, like I'm saying, not mad that we have Sauce. I love Sauce. I didn't realize that the Jets clearly are not high on Bryce Hall.
Mhm.
If they loved him, why would they, A, bring in Reed, and why would they also draft Sauce? So that was a telling sign right there that he has one foot out the door as it is. That I don't think they really expected him to go into preseason and be as bad as he was. I mean, he laid a goose egg. He got dusted by Pitts in Atlanta. He didn't play good, and he just hasn't. And Robert Sala even said, what was his quote? I'm trying to think the way, don't let one game define the player.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah,
paraphrasing something
yeah,
along those lines. But
yeah.
it's not really just that one game because obviously, like I said, I don't think that they were ever really that high on him. Again, he's an Adam Gase guy. That's just my opinion personally. I don't think that they were really that high on him, which is why they drafted Sauce and they obviously brought in DJ Reed.
So I think they made the absolute right decision. I didn't even think Sauce
Yeah,
Gardner was going to be there. I didn't even think Sauce
Me
was.
neither.
I really
right.
didn't. The fact that they got him, I think teams are already worried to throw his way. And I think it's going to be a beneficial position that the Jets are going to be, even when they play those top flying teams like the Miami Dolphins, a.k.a. Tyreek Hill opening his big mouth about Tua. It's not, to me, it's not going to sell anybody that Sauce Gardner is defending him or defending Waddle. Whoever he defends, I believe he's going to be able to not shut completely down, but put him through hell throughout the game. And he talks a lot. And that's what you look at Jalen Ramsey. His success really has come from his talking on the field. And that's what they say about Sauce. Sauce is a different player. Listen to anybody that has interviewed Sauce. He is a down-to-earth, quiet guy off the field. On the field, he doesn't shut up. So
Right.
that's the type of person that he is. And that's where
Using
I think,
people's heads.
yes, and I think Sauce is going to be successful with the New York Jets because in a New York state of mind, what do New York people do? They talk, okay? And
Right.
that is what he does. So I think he's going to fit over here. I think fans are going to love him. And
Exactly.
his personality really fits here in New York. His confidence level, who he is as a person. He's a family man. He goes and he signs every single autograph to the fans. I think everything that he does is what you look for in a New York state of mind. So I think it was a great move for the Jets. I think it was a smart move for the Jets. And by the way, Kevon Thibodeau, who I really like him. I really do like him. And maybe he's successful with the Giants. Maybe.
Hopefully he is.
Maybe.
I'm rooting
But
for him.
here's the thing. He's already have injuries. He's already going to be out 3 to 4 weeks. And with a guy that really wants to be the center of attention to that defense, and he before he even stepped on a field, he was a multimillionaire. Before he was drafted, he was a multimillionaire because he was all about marketing his product.
His brand, yep.
Yes. To me, that doesn't bode well for players that do that.
No.
You got to do something on the field before you brand yourself. And he hasn't done that. So to bring a player into New York, and we've seen that, there's a lot of Jet players, a.k.a. Jamal Adams, who wanted to brand himself before he became the spotlighted player. And then when he finally became a Pro Bowl player and an all-pro player for the Jets, one season, he wanted the money. And what did that do for him? It got him on the way out. It didn't work over here. The Jets didn't want somebody that was selfish and all about himself. And Robert Saleh doesn't like selfish people. And that's what I like about this team. Nobody on this team is selfish. Nobody. And that's what I love about this team.
There's no drama with this team either. I mean, like going back to like Thibodeau, they had 15 minutes with him, and he was all about his brand. And to compliment what you said, I don't think that, like you said, he just like Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, they want players that just keep their noses down and work. They don't want these rah-rah guys. Sauce is a rah-rah guy on the field when it's okay because it's all a psychological thing. He gets to these players' heads, and it makes quarterbacks like not even want to throw to him. You might even, an opposing quarterback might see his star wide receiver, like out of flux a little bit. And that's perfectly fine. But Sauce is not all about himself though either. He's he works his ass off every day. He's the first one on the field every day. He's the last one off the field every day.
That's true.
I don't think that, like you said, I don't think that they like those rah-rah guys, except for like when it's on the field doing like what Sauce is doing. And Robert Saleh even said, I haven't seen a rookie talk that much crap ever. which is I'm fine with it. If he's cocky and he's arrogant and he's backing it up, and he is clearly backing it up because quarterbacks are afraid of him. When is the last time an opposing team had to really account and change up their game plan for a specific player on
Darrell
the Jets
Revis.
defense?
Darrell
Darrell
Revis.
Revis. Yep.
Mhm.
We haven't seen it since then. And Darrell Revis's last year with the Jets was, let's face it, not great.
Well, he was old and he was banged up.
Right? Yeah. That's
Yeah.
not to discount Revis at all. I am a diehard Revis fan. I have his
I
Pro
know
Bowl
Darrell
jersey.
Revis and Eric Coleman, who did a radio show 103.9 with me and MSG. He's rocking on MSG. Shout out to Eric Coleman, by the way. Good friend of mine, good friend of mine, good friend of the show. He tells me a lot of stories about Darrell Revis, and Darrell Revis was not only special to me. He was one of the top 3 corners to ever play this game. He psyched people out not because of his mouth. He really didn't speak. What he did, he's
quiet.
He was tough on the field. He always, within the 5 yards, he's going to hit you, and he's going to make sure that you know that he's there. And that's something that Sauce gives. Sauce is very unique. He's 6'3". He's got speed. He's got great hands. And he's mean. He hits, and he makes sure that you know that he is around. When you have all those, you're a 5-tool type of player, a 5-package player that could do that. That, to me, stands out more than anything. Jalen Ramsey, he's a great player. He is not 6'3". You can't teach length. You can't teach that.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to hurt.
He knows how to use his length as well.
Absolutely.
He uses the sideline as another defender. Before we continue, just shout out to Justin Rivera. Thank you for the comments. They're definitely appreciated. We like everybody interacting here in the chat, so definitely keep it coming. But getting back on topic here, the thing with Sauce, he plays almost like a veteran. He doesn't look really like a rookie. The biggest critique with me about Sauce is, he's very handsy. He might get those penalties which are going to kill the Jets, because those pass interference calls, especially if they go along, that does scare me a little bit. But that's a rookie thing that can be cleaned up. If that's his biggest weakness, I'm okay with that. I think, he plays like a professional. He plays like he's been in the league for 5-10 years already. And the length, like you said, is just gonna be very special. You notice him on the field. I was at the green and white scrimmage. He stands out. You see big number 1 just standing there. He's walking around, very calm, and he's a blanket. He covers guys. And if he could just clean up his hands, I think he's gonna be a top 5 cornerback in this league if he's not already. You saw Saquon Barkley, talking to him today. Players around the league already respect the hell out of this guy, and he hasn't even played an official NFL snap. Crickets.
Yeah,
I want Gino to.
Sorry. I was like, to see what Marks was gonna do. Oh.
I will say this. Everything that you guys are saying is so dead on. But another thing that you have to look at with the New York Jets is we haven't been so excited for a season. Everybody says every year the Jets fans are always excited. Jet fans, even last year, I wasn't excited for last year. The year before that, I wasn't excited for the year before that.
Me neither.
And the reason why is I don't think last year was the first year for Robert Saleh. It was the first year for that defense. And with so many injuries, Carl Lawson being out early, I knew the defense was not going to play well because they didn't have a pass rush. What makes this year so special is I think for the first time this year, we have wide receivers. We do. We have weapons that I expect to develop. I think Elijah Moore is going to turn out to be the best wide receiver on this team. I think he's fun to watch. I think he's high flying, and Garrett Wilson eventually will win that job from him because I think Garrett is special. I watched him in Ohio State. I told everybody if the Jets have a chance to draft him, they need to scoop him up. There was something about Drake London that scared me. Okay,
me
just
too.
Because of
yeah.
size.
But, me too. I've been wanting Garrett Wilson. He's the one I wanted out of that little group.
I don't trust anything from USC. So, just saying.
Well, I mean,
I know Tucker. I know Tucker came here. Elijah doing Moore, well. I understand that, but Sanchez cool. Yeah, he worked out, but like Sam Darnold, I wanted more guys than Sam Darnold. And even with Zach Wilson, like I want other guys more than Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson still has to like prove something to me first. Yeah. But because his second injury in 10 months, I mean that's scary. But it's
knee injury too.
Yeah, it's same knee and everything. But like the thing about the USC guys, like I haven't really ever seen a good USC team since like Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart, in my opinion. But like, I just think overall, when it comes to those type of players and those type of teams, like with Drake London, I think it was all just hype for me. And I think when we got Garrett Wilson and I wanted Williams from Alabama because he's a St. Louis guy, but that would have been cool. But Garrett Wilson is so different. He's got that basketball background. Like he can jump over these guys, and he is not even the tallest guy on the field.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was really happy when we scooped up Garrett Wilson.
And now what scares me right now is the special teams with the Jets. And certain parts of this preseason, there was a lot of mistakes in the special teams. And I think that certain things need to be cleaned up with the special teams. They kept the coach, they kept the special teams coach over the last couple of years. Even when Adam Gase got fired, they kept the same guy. And that's fine. That's grand.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what really bothers me about that is even last year, something that was their strength with Adam Gase, the special teams was their strength. How did it become so bad over the last 2 seasons? So I expect this special teams. They brought in some special team players over the last 2 years. You do have a guy that was in the Pro Bowl last year in Braxton Berrios. This special teams needs to show up. It's so very important that the Jets play on all three areas good. They don't have to be great. They have to be good. And with the defense, if the defense is great and the offense is good and the special teams is horrible, you're not winning because special teams is so very important. They kept Greg the Leg. Fine. Greg the Leg needs to show up and stay healthy this year. If he does. If he does,
tell you all about Greg the Leg.
Yeah, well, I think that.
Why don't you tell us how you feel?
Yeah.
No. Hey, I want to hear him first, and then I will.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
I have followed Greg Zuerlein for a very, very long time. Okay, right. When the Rams drafted him, everybody was talking about how strong his leg is and how special he is, and then all of a sudden he got hurt. And if you remember when he got hurt, he was never the same kicker after that.
I was at that game.
Something happened with his head or something. He was never confident after that. Then he went all over the place. Then he went to the Cowboys. He failed with the Cowboys. He just never stayed healthy after that. If he stays healthy this year with the Jets, stays healthy, and I mean whole season, 17 games.
Right.
Do I think Greg was the right choice for the Jets? Yes. I think he has a strong leg. I think he can kick those 52-yard field goals. I think he can. I think he has the leg to do it here in New York with the wind. I think he's a perfect fit over there. And by the way, Greg Zuerlein is a very, very nice guy. He really is.
I agree.
He's a perfect place. He doesn't speak really. He doesn't really. When they gave him Greg the Leg, he didn't even like that name because he didn't want to really stand out for everybody. But it just seemed like that's the way he was.
Wasn't he like Legatron 2 or something?
Legatron 2.
Yeah, that was his other nickname. Yeah.
Yes.
All from the Rams. From the Rams. But
I think Greg is a very important part of this offense, and I'm going to tell you why. If the Jets win and they start to win games because of their defense, they might not score a lot of points against some of these great defensive teams that they got to play this year, like the Baltimore Ravens. They need Greg Zuerlein to kick those field goals and give them points in every kind of way. And that's why I think he's so very important to them. Because if the Jets defense is good, they could win 12-7 against the Baltimore Ravens. They can beat those teams that are going to play really stingy when it comes to offense. So if you have a good kicker and you have a kicker that's on completely, and we've seen this, the Jets have had some really great kickers.
Right.
Crazy to see that, but they have. To me, what the one thing we haven't had is high flying wide receivers that can give you 10, 12 touchdowns. The last time we have was Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker. I mean, and that was one season with Fitzpatrick or whatever they call him, Fitzmagic or whatever they
call him.
Fitztragic.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, now it's Fitztragic now.
Like what I was going to say
travel.
earlier. Yeah, that's a good one.
Right, I love that.
You're saying that Garrett Wilson is going to take over the wide receiver one position from Elijah Moore.
Eventually.
What a good problem. What a good problem that will be.
Mm.
I mean, like they're only a year apart, season-wise. Like we're both going to have them for the next couple of years. That's a pleasant surprise.
Gary
But
Wilson, Gary Wilson's
before we
much more talented than Elijah Moore, and it's crazy to say that. He is extremely
has.
talented. He really is.
Right. And I think, he provides that height that Elijah Moore is lacking. But, I'll tell you this, and a lot of people don't realize this. If Corey Davis goes down, Corey Davis is the only wide receiver on this team right now that's over 6 feet tall. So
I don't
that
think
could be a
I
bit
don't
of a
think size.
problem.
I don't think size means anything. I could say that right now. It don't matter if you have the speed.
Kind of.
Think about
it
this.
a little
The
bit.
Jets have even without Denzel Mims, they have 4 guys. They have 4 guys, counting the running backs. Right. They have Michael Carter that can run a 4.3. They have Breece Hall that can run a 4.3. They have Garrett Wilson that runs a 4.4. Elijah Moore that almost ran a 4.3. I mean, you have 4 guys that have tremendous speed that could beat you inside and out. Weapons like that. And by the way, Conklin, who's a big guy like that, can run a 4.5 at his size. And then you have guys like Usuma, whatever his name is, Osama, whatever his name is. I don't care about how fast he is. He's good. He's big. He's strong, and they could block. These 2 guys could block, and that's something the Jets have lacked over. Conklin is a great blocker, and that's why I think he's going to start over all the other tight ends because he could block and he could do other things. And everybody said they were going to use Conklin as like a fullback / tight end. I expect to see that this year.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of cuts Nick Baldwin then? The fullback?
No. He'll be back.
And then I have a question. Conklin and Azuma, are they on 1-year deals? Is this like the only year that
he has 2 years and Conklin has 3.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better because I was thinking like if it was like a 1-year deal, maybe you start to incorporate Jeremy Ruckert a little bit more. Jeremy Ruckert is behind on the playbook.
He's the future.
He's the future.
Maybe 2-3 years down the line.
I know Jeremy. I know Jeremy very, very well. He played.
I played against him in high school.
Yes, he played in the 495 travel leagues over here. I had a bunch of guys on our show. Benjamin Carey, shout out to him. Gerald Filardi played in the NFL. They run that organization. And Jeremy, I've met Jeremy Rucker plenty of times. He comes from a very good family. I think Jeremy is going to be a very good player in the NFL. And I think the Jets loved him. And the fact that he was there when he was drafted, they were absolutely surprised. So I think Rucker is going to be a fun player to watch. And I think we're going to see his growth really, really early this season because he's going to be out there a lot more than you think he's going to be.
Right.
I mean, and not only that, you don't know what CJ Uzomah is going to do next year. We might trade him or we might cut him next year, depending on how he does. Because clearly it's Conklin's tight end 1 to beat, and with Rucker coming in, and then who knows if we're going to keep Cager or not? Right? He might be cut. He might not be cut. But Rucker is definitely
they're going to keep Uzomah. He's one of the leaders. They're going to keep him no matter. He's one of the leaders.
Well, no matter what, we just got to see what he's going to do.
Right.
He performs better with Wilson than he does with Flacco. So it's just all who's going to be hot on the drives and cold on the drives. But my question to you was our own linemen, a lot of older players. We have, and then Fant wants a contract. What do you think? Do we need to get more guys next year in the draft for it? Do we need to get a free agent, or do you like where we're at with the O-line?
If George Fond has a good season, it's going to be very hard for the Jets to re-sign him. Okay, because they just signed Dwayne Brown for a 2-year extension worth about $21 million. They expect Dwayne Brown to be the starting left tackle for the next 2 seasons. Mekhi Beckham, even though he has not been healthy for the last 2 years, you still have control of him for his 4th and 5th year option. I expect the Jets to bring him back. I really do. And he will play the right tackle position. So, and they might draft a tackle. They drafted Mitchell. Maybe Mitchell is the future. Maybe they draft a tackle in the 1st round this year if they have a good season at number 12 or 13, because it's going to be more defensive and quarterback friendly in the first 10 picks. So a top offensive lineman could be sitting there at 11 or 12 if the Jets fall there, or maybe the Jets are in a top 10. Who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
Nevertheless,
hopefully they're not.
Yes, hopefully they're not. But I think the future really lies. Laken Tomlinson, who signed what was it? I think a 4-year deal. He's going to be there for the next 4 years. He's going to help develop Elijah Vera Tucker. I think you have interior. You have arguably the best tandem guards in the NFL with Elijah Vera Tucker and Laken Tomlinson. I think Elijah Vera Tucker is going to be an all-pro player. And Laken Tomlinson, he is a Pro Bowl player. And then McGovern, I think they're going to go after a center next year. Even though McGovern, in the last few seasons, if you look at where he's ranked as a center, he's a top 10 center in almost every statistic for a center this year. I mean, over the last couple of years. The problem with him is he can't stay healthy. So I believe the Jets will look for a center in next year's draft in the second or third round to fill in that spot. It's really the tackle position. It's either Mekhi Becton's job. They're going to keep him because he's cheap. And I still believe Mekhi Becton could be a star in this league. It's a shame what's going on with him. He needs to lose weight. And that's something the Jets need to really push after this surgery that he has to end his season. You need to give him a chef, and you need to make sure this guy stays under 350 pounds already. Stop with this. Don't let this guy get over 400 pounds. It's not good for his legs. It's not good for his knees. It's not good for his hip. He's a big man. You expect this guy to be in condition for next year's season so he can have a good one. And then whatever George Font does this year, by all means, he's great. It's great. He's not going to take less money. He's going to go somewhere else. He's going to get paid. And he wants to be a left tackle. He wants to be a left tackle, and it's not his. I give him a lot of credit, by the way, for moving to the and shifting to the other side after the season he had last year with the Jets. I give him a lot of credit, and that shows how responsible he is and how confident he believes that this team could be now that Dwayne Brown is on the other side. So we'll see what happens. I think this is the best offensive line since DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Mangold, and the players that they had in the first couple of years of Rex Ryan's era.
Even Alan,
Faneca.
Yeah, I mean that was even huge getting him back in that day too.
Yes,
and I agree with you with everything you said. I think Fant is just it's gonna come down to his season. He desperately wants to play left tackle. I mean, even the Rich Cimini press conference kept talking about his contract. I was like, no, I don't care. I don't care about that.
Well, yeah,
I want to play.
Yep.
Yeah, let him in. But
I think you guys know Rich Cimini. Do you guys know him?
So I've interacted with him a lot on Twitter, but I don't really know him personally.
How about you, Liam? Have you ever talked to Rich Cimini?
I've spoken to him a couple of times, but it was not Jet related. So he went to the same high school that my girlfriend went to.
Okay,
he's from that area, and my girlfriend's family, they used to rent a beach house, and it was like through like her grandmother and everything. Once the grandmother passed, they don't rent it anymore. Rich Cimini owns, well, I don't know if he owns it, but he rents that same beach house now in Stony Brook.
Right.
And I've talked to him about that a couple of times, but like he didn't like really seem to care. And I don't know him that well. I mean, I've talked to him, never Jet related, but he's kind of seemed like douchey. Like I don't want to like burn bridges on the show.
You're not burning any bridge, and I will tell you the honest truth about Rich Cimini. The guy is a great writer, and he's a great analyst, and he follows the Jets, and he's very fun to follow. Meeting him in person, if you're not important to him, he will push you to the side. That's just who he is as a person. And that's fine. I respect Rich. I know what he is. I know how hard he worked to get where he is today. I respect that. And you can't attack anybody for the way he is. I'm not like that. And if somebody comes up to me and they want to talk to me and they have a question or they know me on the radio and stuff like that, I'm going to give them an answer. I'm going to interact with them. And it's the same thing with Chris Russo and Chris Russo, when you meet him, from Mike Francesa. Mike Francesa is not one of those guys that you're going to sit there and have a conversation with. Chris Russo, you can sit down and have an hour conversation with him, and he'll just continue to talk with you. It doesn't matter who you are. So it's different people.
Different like that too. I met Jake Asman, and he, I didn't want to waste his
time. Jake Asman, do you know Jake? Jake Asman started when he graduated from college on my network. He earned it. Oh. Yes, Jake Asman is, an alumni from the Worldwide Sports. It was Sports on the Go One Radio, and then it changed to Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Jake Asman, a lot of the guys that are in the industry now came through me, and Jake Asman is one of them. And Jake Asman now works for, was SB Nation. Now he works for ESPN. He does the Wheelhouse over there in Houston. But I give Jake Asman earned his. We have Ryan Hickey, who's does a show on CBS Sports Radio on Saturday nights. All these guys came through this network, and I gave a lot of people a different. When I decided to create a digital sports platform, I wanted to give kids that graduated from school a voice, a place to do their show on a digital. We're one of the first digital sports network. Now everybody's trying to do it, and it's sad because they copycatted what we did. And I'm not trying to blow myself up or anything like that. But, no, I'm being serious. But we've been doing this for 8 or 9 years. I've trained all these guys. I've taught them, the works of understanding how to work a board and all that other stuff, and gave them an opportunity to have a voice. And I'm so happy for some of the guys. And it's held me back from really doing what I wanted to do in the industry because I wanted to help other people. So now, over the last year, I've been concentrating on getting myself out there and opening up doors for myself. But I have a lot of respect for the guys that have worked with us. And it's funny, you mentioned Jake Asman. Jake Asman was one of the first guys to be a part of my network when I created the Sports on the Go One, aka Worldwide Sports Radio Network, which is a very successful network out digitally profiled all over the country. It's unfortunate, that some people have never heard of us, but it's funny you brought up Jake Asman. Jake Asman has been a successful radio show host in America, but he started with us.
I love that.
Right. Well, I met him at the Green and White scrimmage, and I took a picture with him, and he was like really like I just had like a regular like Jets t-shirt on, and like he like really loved the shirt, and like I was trying to hurry up, because I didn't want I didn't know if he was like a talkative guy or not, so I didn't want to waste his time. But he was kind of like no, like I want to talk to you for a second. So I'm like, all right, like, cool, So he definitely seemed like a very personal guy.
Jake is an open guy. He is an open. He's a ginger.
Yeah.
We plan on having him on the show.
Good. Yeah, we're in negotiations with them to have on the show. I think
if you ever want him on the show, you let me know. I'll reach out to him.
Well, I have a question for you. Yeah. So you train all these people.
Yeah.
So for anybody watching, if anybody is interested in going down that road, what's the best way to get in contact for you to train them?
Oh, it's very simple. It's not even training. It's
how would they go about that?
Giving them a platform. All you have to do is if you checked us out on Twitter, you can go to our Twitter at www. I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember.
It's okay.
At WWSRN_radio. You can check us out over there. You can go to me on my Twitter at Errol Marks, ERROLMARKS, right there, 34. I'm on Twitter. You guys can follow me and stuff like that. Yes, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to my producer. We want to give, all these different radio shows or these podcasts. We are a live radio network. And what I could do is I give you an opportunity to have a platform to be a part of other shows where, you don't have to worry about any of the other stuff. We have a producer. We have a guy that can help you design your shows and stuff like that. And give you an opportunity to be a part of a platform and an opportunity where you can grow with the network like everybody else. Jake was a very talented guy when he came out of college. He wanted a platform. I gave him an opportunity to do a platform. Him and Dan Budick and Anthony DiBernardo. Dan Budick works for CBS. He does stuff over there as a research developer over there. Anthony DiBernardo, he writes for the WWE. So all these guys have worked for us. We have guys, all different guys that have worked on this network that are now in the industry and have been successful in the industry some way or another. So it's really just being a part of a team and working together and getting the opportunity to have a voice.
That's awesome, man. I wish I got to meet some more. I got to say, Greg or Gio, whatever, Greg Giannotti lives really right down the road.
A friend of mine too, by the way.
He lives in Sayville. I see him in 7-Eleven all the time.
Yeah.
So
Greg is Greg. I actually, me and Greg are the same age. I'm a year older than him. He's 39. I'm 40. I graduated from Patchogue. He graduated from Bellport. He played football. I played football. And I've known Greg for a long, long time. I know a lot of his friends are my friends, and we've, over the last couple of years, and I know Rick DiPietro. I was a big time hockey player. I'm not a big fan of his, by the way. We hate each other, but in the industry, you have to understand, and I want to give all the fans an understanding of what this industry is. It's a very cutthroat industry. And you can be the most talented person in the industry. It's all about who you know and how hard you work and how hard you want it. And if the one thing anybody knows about me, I've given, I don't blow myself up or anything like that. I've earned, my spot in the industry, and I've worked really, really hard, and I'm pushing myself more now than I ever did. And it's been a year, and I've been pushing myself, and I trust in my talent. You have to believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself and you're just doing this just to get a voice, that's great too. And I'm not saying that it's bad, but if you believe that this is the industry you want to get into, and there's so few jobs now, and podcasts are taking over, and it's ruining opportunity for positions to open up for you. If you really want this, you got to work and you got to put your heart and soul into it. If you don't do that, nobody is going to get where they want in anything that you do. And I'm a firm believer that I've taught that. I opened up internships. Now there are radio stations, digital profile radio stations, that are opening up internships for kids to get college education or college credits. I started that before anybody did that. Now there are people, stations, networks that are not stations, but networks, digital networks that are doing that, and they copycatted what we did. And I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else, and that's not why I'm sitting here and talking on your show. I'm not. Yeah. I'm saying that you have to be a doer, and you have to be unique, and you have to be different. And to bring that out and be yourself is what people want to see. They don't want to hear some fakeness coming out of your mouth. If you're a Jet fan and you believe in the Jets and stuff like that, you got to make sure that you put it together. You make sure that you know what you're talking about, so people will listen to you. People are going to hate you. People are going to love you. Who cares? I'd rather be hated than loved in this industry. I don't really care. In the end, it's me against you. Say whatever you want. I love Jake Asman. Jake and me are good friends. Okay. And I don't take any credit for his growth of who he is. He'll tell you he worked on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. He'll tell you he worked with me, and we have nothing but our utmost respect for one another. But this is a competition. Okay. That's what it is. Nobody is going to help you. Nobody's going to help you do anything. You got to earn it. And if you don't know somebody, and even if you do, some people don't want to help you because they're afraid of you. They're afraid that you're going to be the next guy to take their job. This is the way the business is. You are the new guy in town. And if you are a different personality, you are different, you have a different look, or you have a different just, that feeling that people just drive to, like a Stephen A. Smith or any of these guys that are on the radio. Well, that's what you want to be. You want to be unique. You want to be different. Howard Stern did that. He changed the industry, and that's why Howard Stern is Howard Stern. If you want to do that with sports radio, you have to bring out your personality and believe in what you put out there. You believe in your product. If you do that, you can be whatever you want to be.
Perfect
answer. I couldn't said it better myself. I love
you kind of fired me up a little bit. Like I'm ready now.
Yeah. Now I'm about ready to go run a mile.
You could do it. If you guys ever want to,
you're absolutely right, though, man. You're absolutely right.
I agree.
If you guys need help with your show, you guys want to be a part of, you want to come on the network, you want to put your show on the network, we could talk about that. I have no problems helping you guys out and driving you guys.
I appreciate that, man.
Yes, because you listen, man. I'm not like everybody else. I believe in who I am as a person. I don't care if I can help somebody else. And the one thing everybody says is you got to worry about yourself before you worry. That was my problem. I didn't do that. I worried about other people, not worry about myself. And now I'm sitting here and I'm not grouchy or anything like that. I believe what I'm going to be. I know what I'm going to, when I get my opportunity, I'm going to make sure people know who I am. I have no fear in nobody, and nobody is going to tell me they know more than me or this and this and that. I don't give a crap, because I know when I go out there, I'm going to entertain people. I'm going to show them what it is to be an entertainer. Sports radio is entertainment. It's not about what you know. We all talk about the same stuff. It's how you bring it out. It's how you show the fans what you bring out, what personality you bring out, and how you bring it out to the fans that will drive the fans to listen to you than everybody else. And if you can do that, you can do anything you want. And I believe my personality, my strength, my understanding of what this business is turned, and I've learned so much in depth on how this business moves. I have believed in my talent. And if you believe in your talent, you can do anything, and nobody can stop you, no matter what you know. So Just believe that. That's all you have to know. And all you kids, anybody who wants to do this, I want to be like Mike Brown. I want to be like you, Errol. If you want to be like me, you want to be like anybody or one of the people you follow, you can do it. Just go out there, put 110% in what you do. And if you do that, you're going to get there. It might take years. Look, I've been doing this for 8 years. 8 years. I'm a very known DJ. I've traveled around the world. I've opened up for some of the biggest artists in the world. Okay.
Oh, look at you.
I have.
love that.
I have. And I'm a confident guy, man. And I'm not going to sit there and say I'm better than you. I'm going to go out there and show you that I'm better than you. That's it.
There you go.
I'm not going to sit there and say, well, I don't care who. Nobody is going to compare you or anybody. You want to be different. You want to be unique. If you show people unique, nobody's going to be able to be compared to you. Because I could sit there and say, "Oh, welcome to the Errol Marks show." Blah 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 blah. Nobody gives a shit about that. Excuse my language, but nobody gives a crap about that. You know what people care about? People care about that if I'm going to sit here and I'm going to entertain you, I'll friggin' wear my underwear. I'll wear it with no t-shirt. I'm going to make sure I'm entertaining you. I'll write my damn name on my chest the whole friggin' show and talk about sports and be an ass, okay? I don't give a crap. It's all about entertainment, entertaining people. And when you're on the radio, they can't see that. I'll tell you that I'm wearing just my underwear and a t-shirt. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have to be different. And if you're different, not because you're trying to be different, if you know me off air, as much as you know me on air, I am the same person you're talking to. I don't give a crap. I'm not changing for nobody. I am who I am. And if you guys are who you are, don't try to change yourself for nothing. And Howard Stern told me that when I've known Howard for a long time. And when I had a conversation with him, he said the one thing he told me, the one thing that he told me to really stand out for anything that I do is he says, never change who you are. Always be yourself. Don't let anybody try to change who you are. And that's all that matters. And if you could do that, don't worry about the other stuff. Don't worry about it. Just go out there, attack it, and make sure that you stand out.
Right. Pat McAfee was actually talking about that. And, he even said that he's just himself turned up to 11. That's really all you have to do.
I don't know Pat, but I like Pat even more now. So
I listen to him all the time. Yeah. But so this has been go ahead, Gino.
So my last question: who's your favorite Jets player of all time?
Who's my favorite Jets player of all time? Oh my God! Well, I've known DeBrickashaw Ferguson for a very long time. I have a lot of respect for him. I followed him. I know him very well. It was Darrelle Revis. I've always loved Darrelle. I love his spunk. I love his personality. I remember when the Jets they moved up to get him in the draft from Pitt. There's just something about who he was and what he stood for as a player. The only thing I hated about Darrelle Revis is that he was money hungry. He was very much, when's my next contract? Why am I not getting the highest pay? I am the best. That was the only thing that bothered me about Darrelle Revis. But everything else, he went out there, he played hard, and that's what I love about him. Working hard, being educated at the game and at your position. You are the most educated player at your position. You're going to be the best. And that's what he was. I don't care what Richard Sherman said, okay? And I love Richard Sherman, but he wasn't even in the same hemisphere as Darrelle Revis. I don't know why he even thought he was. So Darrelle Revis is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Richard Sherman is not. He might be a Hall of Famer, but he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. You're talking about, no, there's only maybe two players that I would take over Darrelle Revis in history. And that's probably, people will say Deion Sanders, which I honestly think that he was better than Deion Sanders. But that's just my opinion. But Deion Sanders and Charles Woodson. Besides that, that's it. I don't think there was anybody better than him at his position. And by the way, he was robbed for Defensive Player of the Year, the year Charles Woodson won. I just want everybody to know that. He was absolutely robbed that year. So he should have won Defensive Player of the Year. Of course, the NFL doesn't like New York Jets players winning anything. So that's why he lost. That's my honest opinion.
I mean, look at the Klecko. Look at Klecko. Look how long he's been waiting. It's absolutely true.
Respect.
Gotcha.
I have tremendous amount of respect for Joe Klecko. I met him at a concussion show over here. It wasn't a show, but it was a meeting. I met Joe Namath. I know Joe. I've seen him a couple of times, and we've had some good conversations when it comes to football. Curtis Martin has been on a show, and another person that I have a lot of respect for. He told me a lot of different stories about himself and concussions and where he loved to play. So I met a lot of ex-Jets and guys that I've built good relationships with. And it's some of these guys are just very, very special and very good people. Not even because you are a fan of, but just because of who they are and what they do off the field. So it's special. And you, like I said, guys, when you do this, when you meet people in this industry, you cannot be starstruck. You can't. You got to be yourself and show them that you're very confident about yourself.
You belong here,
right.
That you belong. And if they see that you belong, they'll answer whatever questions you ask them. Any question you ask them.
I agree with that.
So,
before we let you go, are you going to the home opener?
Am I?
I'm gonna be in town, so
I was asked to go. I'm not sure, but I go do I do the press coverage. Last year I went to like 5 regular season games, and I did some press work. But this year I didn't really apply for the press this year because there's a lot of inside stuff that I don't want to talk about on air. Don't
worry
absolutely.
about that. Yeah.
I
was going to talk to you about a couple of things off air.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was an experience, no question. And as far as going, and going to the games, I'll be at a few games this year. I would love to meet you guys. Absolutely. You live in Sayville, so I can meet you, Liam and Gino. Absolutely. Anytime you want to talk, any questions, and I would love to get to know you guys and whatever information you need or whatever help you need, you can come and talk to me. I wouldn't mind.
I appreciate that,
helping
man.
you guys.
I appreciate that a lot.
Absolutely.
If there's anything that we could do for you, you let us know.
Yeah.
Listen,
doors always open.
Just listen, man. Just listen. Be a fan and stuff like that. That's all I want you guys to do. And the one thing I can tell you guys is you listen to everything. You gravitate to everything that you want to learn and stuff like that, because there are people out there that you can learn from. It doesn't hurt to think that somebody knows more about something than you, or can give you a different edge or different look to where this industry is going. Because I've been in the industry a long time. I've seen the industry. Me and my guys have really been the first to really change the platform to digital radio. We were one of the first. So, and it's not even, there's no fakeness to it. It's a guarantee. Anybody that knows what Sports on the Go One Radio was and what it started, we were one of the first. I mean, Twitter and what's the other thing that
Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok?
No. Twitter was what was that platform before Twitter? That was connected to Twitter.
MySpace?
No.
No, that was Facebook. That's my Facebook.
I forget what it was. I'll have to ask my producer. I'll let you guys know. But we were the first, and then CBS started to do it. ESPN started to do it. So it's a lot of copycatting. But listen, the industry is all about copycatting. What you need to do is you need to be different, and that's what you do. That's what I try to do. I go out there. I give you guys a show. I am electric from top to bottom. When I do a 3-hour show, I am loud, I'm arrogant, and I don't give a crap. Okay. You have to be who you are. Don't ever let anybody tell you can't do that. And if somebody doesn't like you for that, then F you. Okay. And that's what I say. Don't let anybody, everybody wants to be the same old personality on radio. I'm going to be like Mike Francesa. I'm going to be like this. No, I am Errol Marks. I am Errol Marks. And there is nobody in the industry as crazy and unique as me. And that's it. And as long as
you haven't met me yet. You haven't met me yet.
Good.
I'm just kidding.
Good. You have to be different. Drive yourself to be who you want to be, and not just because you want to be fake, because you want to be yourself. Your friends know you. Your friend. Remember when you would sit at the lunchroom table and you have a conversation with your friends, you talk sports all throughout lunch, and you don't even eat your lunch. You forget to eat lunch because you love the conversation. When you talk sports and you talk about your teams and you talk about the things that you love, make sure that you show as much, gravitate. Make sure that you show as much information and much, pizzazz that you did when you were a kid, sitting on a lunchroom table. Radio is all about just being yourself, and it's not easy. I'll tell you this right now. I've had people sit in front of mics and they say, I could do this. This is easy. And I put them, okay, let's see what you could do. You sit on a mic and you're like, it's not easy. My uncle did it. My uncle's has 2 master's degrees, a software developer, and he said he had tried to do a show. He said, I could do this. He did it for an hour. He couldn't do it. He says, I don't know how do you sit there for 3 hours, talk about sports and entertain people the way you do? It's amazing.
Even the behind the scenes stuff. It's not just, hitting go live on a video and then doing the video.
Right.
It's all the prep work that goes into it. It's, Gino we'll have like our notebooks and everything. We're writing notes all day.
You'll know about me.
Leading up to a show, me and Gino, we're texting each other back and forth all day long. It's a process. It really is.
Well, it's funny with me, and my producer will tell you this about me, and it's something that I should work on. My producer tells me what we're going to talk about probably about 15, 20 minutes before the show. And I get my information. I don't even write it down. I'm ready to go. It's really because I'm so comfortable in myself and my skin now, because I've been doing it for such a long time, that I'm confident that I'm going to know what I'm talking about and how I'm going to attack the subject and be able to entertain people while I'm doing it. And I don't care if people don't agree with me. I don't care if people hate me. Kiss my ass.
Right.
Well, I care. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't care. Listen to me because you like me. Listen to me if you hate me. Listen to me. You want to call the show? You can call the show and bitch at me. I'm not going to hang up on you. I'm going to let you have it. Okay. If you outduel me, so by all means, good luck to you. All right. Congratulations to you. Nevertheless, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make sure you're going to hear it. You're going to have a show. And that when I get off that night, you're going to say, holy crap, this guy is crazy, but I enjoy listening to him, and that's it.
I love it, man. Oh, my gosh.
Right, so we're going to wrap this up. So
absolutely,
one more time
man.
Before we let you go, Errol, where can we find you on social media? Where can we listen to you? If you want to plug that one more time before we go.
You guys, you can check me out. I'm only on Twitter. I don't go on Instagram. Taking pictures of my ass is not something I want to do, okay? As far as that, you can go on my Twitter at Errol, my name, Errol Marks 34. It was my hockey number. It was my sports number 34. You can find me. I've started to post things a lot more than I have 4,000 followers. It's crazy how many followers I have, and I'm barely, but lately I've been posting things. You can go to the Worldwide Sports Radio at WWSRN_radio. We have over almost 8,000 people that follow us on Twitter. You could go on Instagram, WWSRN_radio, like that. Facebook, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You can watch our shows live every single Tuesdays and Thursdays. My show, and we have shows throughout the week. We have a Jet show, Weapons Hot, if you ever heard of them. CJ DeSimone and Kevin Jackson, they're on our network. So we have all different shows. You can check out Ryan Hickey show, who taken a hiatus for a couple of weeks because he's doing something for CBS, but definitely check us out. If you're a sports fan and you want knowledge and you want to have fun, my producer, Speedy Petey, is a very interesting. Analytically, the guy is an absolute genius. And the fun that we have on the show and the craziness that you hear on our show is something that you've never heard. Craig Carn has nothing on me. He has nothing on us. He's not, he's funny, he's an idiot, whatever, but he's got nothing when it comes to analytic sports and knowledge of what we know. And we get the best guests. Yeah, he's right there. I'm a sports loudmouth. He's a loudmouth. You can kiss my ass too. But anyway, a whole nother story.
Up yours, Craig Carton, if you're listening.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Well, listen, there are some stories that he hasn't listened. So you can kiss my ass too. But anyways, to me, you can check me out. Go to my Twitter. That's the best way to contact me, at Errol Marks 34. I am on Facebook, Errol Marks. You can find me there. Yeah. I have an Instagram. I have like 600 followers on Instagram. Somebody got a hold of it. I don't go on Instagram. I don't like taking pictures of my ass, okay? All you people out there on Instagram taking pictures of yourself, you girls taking pictures of your bikinis and whatever the hell, your underwear, your thongs, or whatever the hell you guys do with your spare lives. Enjoy yourselves. I'm not doing it. So you will not see me on Instagram. And if you have a problem with that, well, you can kiss my ass. That's all I'm going to say.
There you go.
You have to get that ass on Instagram now.
Yes. And by the way, check out our app, iOS, Apple, WWSRN, or Android. Search us in the Play Store, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. All different words, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You can find us all. It's so easy to use. It made it so easy for the older fan that wants to listen to us. So we could talk, guys. I'm happy. Thank you for letting me come on with you guys. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are very talented young guys, and anything that you need, let's stay in touch. Follow me on Twitter. I'll follow you guys, and whatever you need, and maybe we'll put your show on the network. I think it might be good for you guys to be a part of the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
Really appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Man.
All right, everybody. Gino, Errol, have a good night, everybody. All gas, no break.